Most successful television follows a predictable formula: high production values, likable characters, and wholesome lessons. Yet the longest-running live-action sitcom in American history is a gritty, low-budget series about 5 sociopaths running a grimy dive bar. In late 2020, the series was renewed through its 18th season, officially breaking the historical record for television longevity in its genre. To reach this milestone, it had to dethrone The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, a show that represented the exact opposite of the Sunny ethos, a 1950s cultural touchstone defined by idealized American family life. The show now commands a massive media footprint. It has aired over 178 episodes, surpassed 1 billion hours streamed on Disney Plus in 2025, and recently executed a high-profile crossover with the mockumentary hit Abbott Elementary. This cultural dominance shouldn't happen for a show this abrasive. They didn't achieve it by conforming to the Hollywood blueprint. They did it by systematically breaking every rule of the traditional sitcom. In the early 2000s, 3 out-of-work actors, Rob McElhenney, Glenn Howerton, and Charlie Day, decided to stop waiting for auditions. They began shooting their own home movies in Los Angeles to bypass the industry's traditional gatekeepers. Their DIY rebellion was powered by the Panasonic DVX-100A. This was a consumer-grade digital camcorder that offered a professional frame rate at a fraction of the cost of studio equipment. They used a pilot shot for roughly $200 to secure a deal with the FX network, but the initial budget was still a shoestring, $450,000 per episode. For context, that was less than a third of the standard network budget at the time. These extreme financial constraints meant they couldn't afford a polished look. Instead, they had to rely entirely on sharp, unfiltered, and deeply cynical writing to stand out. This gritty, low-cost aesthetic provided a distinct advantage. It allowed the creators to fly beneath the radar of network interference and maintain total creative control over their cynical vision. Despite critics describing the show as Seinfeld on crack, the first season was a ratings disaster. By the end of its first year, the show faced immediate cancellation. FX president John Landgraf delivered a corporate ultimatum. The show would only continue if the creators added a major, recognizable celebrity to help market the series. The creators were originally hesitant. They worried a big-name star would destroy this specific indie dynamic they had spent years building. They cast Danny DeVito as Frank Reynolds. It was a move that satisfied the network's demand for PR while completely shifting the show's momentum. By following the one traditional rule they were forced to accept, stunt casting, they ironically built the armor necessary to protect their anti-Hollywood format for the next 2 decades. Narratively, DeVito's character changed everything by acting as a financial catalyst. Frank's multi-millionaire status funded the gang's increasingly depraved schemes, removing the need for characters to ever have real jobs or interact with the real world. This diagram illustrates the show's core engine: character stasis. Typical sitcom characters follow a linear growth arc, but Sunny characters exist in a permanent loop. This lack of growth is a weapon, allowing writers to drop them into heavy socio-political themes without ever changing. By refusing to let their characters evolve, the creators built a permanent engine for satire that thrives on arrested development. That commitment to dark comedy created a dedicated cult following. This audience didn't just consume the show, they transformed it into a massive real-world business. The brand expanded into sold-out national theatrical tours of the show's in-universe musical, The Night Man Cometh, and even led to international adaptations, like the Russian version, It's Always Sunny in Moscow. They further scaled through the Always Sunny podcast, taking the show on tour and performing live for crowds as large as 9,000 viewers per show. Their success proves that niche, abrasive humor is no longer a barrier to growth. In the internet age, a hyper-specific vision creates a more loyal following than any mass-market compromise. The show's trajectory is unique. 3 friends with a digital camcorder and a cheap apartment became the architects of a series that has surpassed 1 billion hours of watch time on global streaming platforms. The ultimate lesson of the series' longevity is that cultural impact isn't about being likable or having a massive budget. The show secured its place in television history by doing what Hollywood usually forbids: leaning entirely into a singular, uncompromised vision of terrible people doing terrible things.